Welcome to Celestial Zodiac. Today we're going to talk about the 8th house of the zodiac wheel. The 8th house in astrology represents transformation, depth, and the parts of life that exist beneath the surface. After the 7th house focuses on partnership and relational balance, the 8th house moves into shared experience on a deeper, more intense level. This is the house of intimacy, shared resources, power, loss, and rebirth. The 8th house asks what happens when we merge with others emotionally, psychologically, or materially, and how we are changed by that process. The natural zodiac ruler of the 8th house is Scorpio, and its natural planetary rulers are Mars and Pluto. This gives the 8th house a penetrating, intense, and transformative quality. Elementally, it aligns with water, and its modality is fixed, meaning this house is focused on sustained emotional depth and long-term psychological processes. The 8th house answers the question: what must be confronted, released, or transformed in order for deeper growth to occur? Psychologically, the 8th house governs vulnerability, emotional intensity, and the unconscious material we often avoid. It represents the parts of ourselves that are hidden, suppressed, or difficult to face. This house is associated with fear, desire, attachment, and emotional bonds that have the power to change us. Unlike the lighter emotional tone of the 4th house, the 8th house deals with emotional depth that requires courage and honesty. Externally, the 8th house governs shared resources and entanglements. This includes joint finances, debts, inheritances, taxes, and any situation where resources are pooled or exchanged. It also relates to power dynamics within relationships, especially where trust, dependency, or control is involved. The 8th house reflects how we handle shared responsibility and whether we feel empowered or vulnerable when resources and energy are merged with others. On an inner level, the 8th house represents emotional merging and transformation. It governs intimacy, trust, and the willingness to be fully seen. This house asks how comfortable we are with closeness, loss of control, and emotional exposure. For many people, the 8th house is where fear and desire coexist. It is the place where deep attachment forms, and where profound change can occur through emotional honesty. The 8th house also reveals our relationship with endings and rebirth. It governs how we respond to loss, whether literal or symbolic, and how we process grief, change, and renewal. Transformation through the 8th house is rarely gentle, but it is deeply meaningful. What is released here creates space for psychological growth and regeneration. The 8th house highlights the difference between control and surrender. Many people attempt to manage fear by controlling outcomes, emotions, or relationships. However, the 8th house teaches that true transformation requires letting go. When resistance is strong, this house can feel overwhelming. When approached consciously, it becomes a source of empowerment and emotional resilience. At its deepest level, the 8th house governs survival instincts and psychological power exchange. This house becomes activated when emotional, financial, or psychological security feels at stake. In these moments, instinct overrides logic and patterns around trust, control, and vulnerability emerge. The 8th house reveals how individuals respond when they feel exposed, dependent, or emotionally invested beyond their comfort zone. This house also governs emotional truth versus emotional safety. Many people suppress feelings, desires, or fears in order to maintain stability or avoid loss. However, the 8th house insists on honesty, even when that honesty disrupts existing structures. Transformation through this house requires facing uncomfortable truths rather than preserving emotional illusions. When truth is avoided, intensity builds beneath the surface. When truth is acknowledged, release becomes possible. The 8th house teaches that power is not domination but self-awareness. True empowerment comes from understanding one's emotional triggers, attachments, and fears. When individuals become conscious of these inner dynamics, they regain agency over situations that once felt overwhelming. This awareness transforms vulnerability from weakness into strength. In everyday life, the 8th house shows up during moments of crisis, deep emotional bonding, or significant change. It influences how we handle intense conversations, shared responsibilities, and emotional vulnerability. Others may experience your 8th house through your emotional depth, intensity, and capacity for honesty, or through guardedness and defensiveness if trust feels unsafe. Behaviorally, this house affects how people respond to emotional closeness and power dynamics. A strong 8th house emphasis often brings emotional insight, psychological awareness, and the ability to navigate complex situations. When challenged, it can manifest as fear of intimacy, obsession, emotional withdrawal, or power struggles. This house often becomes activated during periods of loss, transformation, or personal reinvention. When planets are placed in the 8th house, their influence becomes intense and transformative. These planets operate beneath the surface, shaping emotional responses and psychological patterns. Because the 8th house deals with depth and merging, planets here often bring life experiences that force growth through confrontation and release. For example, the Sun in the 8th house emphasizes identity transformation through emotional depth and shared experience. The Moon in the 8th house brings heightened emotional sensitivity and deep attachment. Venus in the 8th house intensifies intimacy and emotional bonding. Mars in the 8th house can bring passion, conflict, or power struggles. Pluto in the 8th house magnifies transformation and psychological depth. Regardless of the planet, placements here signal powerful inner change. The ruling planets of the 8th house are Mars and Pluto. These rulers govern drive, power, destruction, and rebirth. To understand how the 8th house operates in a chart, you look at the sign on the 8th house cusp and then locate where Mars and Pluto are placed. Their condition reveals how transformation is approached and whether power is used consciously or defensively. When functioning well, the 8th house provides strengths such as emotional courage, psychological insight, resilience, and the ability to transform adversity into growth. This house supports deep healing, intimacy, and the capacity to face difficult truths. A healthy 8th house allows individuals to navigate change without losing themselves in fear or control. However, the 8th house also has significant challenges and a shadow side. When overemphasized, it can lead to obsession, manipulation, emotional dependency, or fear of loss. Power struggles may arise when trust is lacking or when vulnerability feels threatening. When underdeveloped, this house can manifest as emotional avoidance, denial of deeper feelings, or refusal to confront necessary change. Another challenge of the 8th house involves resisting endings. Holding on to what must be released can prolong suffering and block renewal. This house teaches that transformation requires willingness to let go, even when the outcome is uncertain. Avoiding this process often intensifies fear rather than preventing loss. Growth in the 8th house comes from embracing transformation consciously. This means developing trust in the process of change and allowing vulnerability without surrendering personal agency. Conscious use of this house involves facing fear with honesty, releasing unhealthy attachments, and recognizing that true power comes from self-awareness rather than control. A balanced 8th house supports emotional depth, authentic intimacy, and inner strength. It allows individuals to experience closeness without losing autonomy and to move through change with resilience. Awareness of this house transforms crisis into opportunity and loss into renewal. The 8th house works as part of the larger house system. It follows the 7th house of partnership and precedes the 9th house of meaning and belief. Across the chart, the 2nd house represents personal resources and self-worth, forming a polarity with the 8th house's focus on shared resources and transformation. Together, these houses illustrate the cycle of having, sharing, losing, and regenerating value. The 8th house marks a turning point in the chart, where surface experience gives way to depth and transformation. It prepares the ground for expanded understanding and perspective in later houses. Without this house, growth remains shallow. With it, life gains depth, honesty, and power. In upcoming videos, we'll continue exploring the astrology houses step by step, building a complete picture of how different areas of life unfold within the chart. Understanding the houses helps you understand where your life unfolds. This is just the beginning. Thank you for watching Celestial Zodiac. If you found this breakdown of the 8th house helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so you don't miss the rest of the series.